What are some strategies that artists can use to increase their visibility and success?
Are we talking about task or are we talking about strategies?
Strategies. And what's the difference, by the way?
So the strategy is coming up with like the chess moves, thinking 20 steps ahead of where you want to go to or your competition, wherever it is, to get there. The task is how to execute them. And they're completely different. And so each, let's just say that, it's, so your strategy is, and I could talk a lot about that because I had a strategy of how I got my first movie. It wasn't a lucky for me, it was a strategy of what I did. And I planted those seeds for years to get to the place of getting my first feature film gig. Not the perfect gig, but I got it. And it created about thousands of different micro tasks to get there. I could talk more specifically if you want me to.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
So my first feature was Walt Before Mickey. Right? It was the four big stars was John Heder, Jodie Sweetin, David Henry, and Thomas Nicholas. Right? And there is absolutely zero reason for me to take on that director role. There were way more people qualified than I. The most I've done was a short film that won at this small music festival in New York City. I did a few music videos, and I had a wedding company. Nothing in there says I should be doing a feature film with those type of people about Walt Disney and one of the more American movies that you can make. And so, but I didn't sell myself as that director. I sold myself as a director that had this capability to that the producers need. The situation is that there was another director that got fired, right? And I was in a position where I had branded myself in a way where that I could almost fix anything. I'm a troubleshooter. I built the business from zero to $500,000 in a year, right? I was that type of guy. And my peers, my filmmaking peers, all knew I could do that. So because I knew they knew that, I was gonna be in the first in line to know that I was gonna be asked when they needed help with something. So that call came in saying, Khoa, there's an opportunity for you. It's about shooting a movie about Walt Disney. And I go, what's the catch? Because there's no reason to ask me. I said, what's the catch? They go, the catch is that you have to come down here in in 2 weeks. And you have to be able to start shooting in 2 weeks after that. So within 30 days, you have to start shooting. And the crew's demoralized, is underfunded, and then they also might be running out of money for any post-production. So why would anyone take on that gig? Everyone would say no to that gig, right? Why would anyone do that? But for me, it was positioning. Because I knew that, first of all, I knew that I would get those type of opportunities just because I just knew that's how it was going to happen. But I also knew that if I was able to fix this movie, I was going to get more opportunities. So I said, look, I told the producers, I'll do the directing gig for $2,500. It's only a 15-day shoot, by the way, 1920p for a 15-day shoot. And I will take on all the post-production. I want all the coloring, all the editing, deliverable, and I will also pay for the sound mix and the music. I will complete it for you. Of course he's going to say yes. Of course I'm going to say yes. Everyone's going to say yes to me on that one. So that was a chess move for me because I knew that was an opportunity for me to take on the right opportunity. Now, if it was a different movie, not about Walt Disney, I would have said no because why waste my energy, why waste my time for that? But because it was the right project, it was the one that Walt Disney, I knew they were going to sell that movie. I saw that Facebook had 1 million followers already. I saw that it had these stars in place. And they had, I would say 99% of the crew was more experienced than me. And the only thing that could have stopped me was myself saying no because I was too scared because I wasn't ready. But I felt like I was ready to tell a feature film story. And I felt like this was the opportunity that was gonna move my businesses forward and get me to the next stage of where I wanted to be. So I took the gig, and within long story short, within about 2 weeks after going to market, it got sold domestically, it got sold internationally. It was in Disney for 12 weeks, sold out for four weeks straight at Disney World, right? It was in AMC, maybe 80 something theaters at AMC. It got picked up by Netflix after it tested the market. It was in Netflix for 4 years, and it's still today. It's still seen. It had tons of views, millions of views on it. It's not the best movie, for certainly it's not the best movie at all. And I could tell you about how that, I could tell you why it is not. But but that was a strategy, and that was a very tactical strategy I did. So strategy into the task. That's the long answer.
So many questions here. How many weddings had you done before you stepped on set?
We've done 300.
Before, when you took that position? Okay, 300. So you'd been in high pressure. I'm sure there's great weddings, and then I'm sure there's ones that are stressful, whatever. Maybe the venue's bad or there's rain or something. Mm-hmm. So you'd already been in a pressure cooker sort of environment. Okay.
That's exactly right.
Right, as someone who's worked weddings before.
But not just that, it was the pressure cooker in music as well. Deadlines, the album needs to get wrapped up. You're doing a song a day. Writers coming in and out. People are paying me to get things done. Blah blah blah. So pressure has always been there. My college days was all pressure too, and so it's like, But the wedding for sure helped. But at the time when I took on the gig, I wasn't even shooting weddings. I had my team shooting weddings a lot. So it was more about how do I command an 80 people set. Think about it. There's a lot of videographers out there, but it doesn't mean they could command an 80 people set. For me, I was in a position to command that just because of me playing baseball, me playing in the music game, and then I'm also in the gaming world.
Now you said that the crew was, quote, demoralized.
Yeah.
How did you come in and infuse new life?
I don't want to, I had a speech with them, and I had told them that, look, I'm this new filmmaker, and that you might think of me as this guy that's so new that might not know what they're doing, but I want you to just treat me with respect in the very beginning, and just allow me to prove myself to you, being really transparent to them, and that you guys, and I also talked to them saying that you guys wouldn't be here if you didn't believe in the project, and we'll all want to move things forward as well. So let me do that. And if you think and then if I could prove to you that I could build that confidence for you to believe in me, then I need you to help me finish that movie. Another thing, so that's just talk. Now everything is action at that point. And so after the first week of the shoot, the producers and the actors took a private jet to Miami. I was asked to go, and I didn't go. Instead, I took the crew out to dinner, and I was the one that paid for dinner. And I think that was the saving grace for the film, because the crew had issues with production. And look, the production team was very new. Like, producers were new, and I respect the producers a lot, right? But they were new. And for me, I come from that background of understanding how to take care of people. And I knew that I didn't come here to waste my time, and I want to bring home a film. And so in order to do that, I got to ensure that my crew is on board. They were, just like in baseball, I want to make my coach proud. I'm the coach of that film crew, and I wanted them to look at me as somebody that they want to be, that I could be proud of them, right? And I think establishing that environment was based on my actions and the first thing I did was I'm the first one in on the set. I'm the last one off the set with the PA until he wraps, and I do that 7 days a week. No matter what, I'm always just working, looking out for everybody, and then proving it, topping it off is taking out to dinner, and connect with them, like human beings, and then and so one of the grips, he used to work on the Fast and Furious, at the time Fast and Furious 6, he says, "Well, my guys are working their tail off for you. I never seen them work that much for you. And what you said to them resonated. And I just want to just give you a hug. And it's not every day we see that, because usually in film environments, it's a very toxic environment sometimes, at least what they're experiencing. And so you seem to make this thing real fun for us and want to hang out in." And I go, I hope I could do that. But it's not all the time like that, because, there's a lot of other issues around it. But when they're around me, they know that they could trust me and that I got their backs. And as long as they understand that I got their backs, they'll do everything to protect me.
That's great. So you came in and you were very transparent, and then you also backed it up. It wasn't just talk. You showed them that I'm kind of looking out for your best interests as well. You took them out to dinner. You were human with them, and it righted the ship.
Yeah, and that's tactical stuff. They have to also believe in my skill set, my talent too, right? And so one of the first things to prove that they could trust me, that I'm going to take care of them and move this project forward, was that they had to know that I knew what the heck I was doing on the set. So, I remember the first day, we were 3 hours late because makeup artists and costume was late. And so my whole entire storyboard was out the door because my timing was all off now. And so I said, all right, we're going to do this, and we're going to have to change everything up, and okay, let's just make it happen. And so I reversed, your typical way of doing it, your master to your, then to your medium, to your close-ups, and you have your structure. Instead, I went the opposite way. I said, look, we're going to start with tights and get to the emotional moment, and then we'll finish up with the master, and we're going to wrap that part up we're going to do it in 3 takes, and we're going to save you guys all this time. Did that, and everyone was like floored by how we executed. And right from there, it was like, okay, business as usual. They were able to trust that I was able to execute. So it was these pockets of moments where people, where just humans, just test you to see if they're sizing you up and down all the time, and they're trying to figure out, can I trust him? So every single minute, every hour had to be me proving to that crew that I'm trustworthy to be able to take this film to the next level. And I think and that's, going back to it, that's a strategy. Those are strategies. Because if you are in the wrong mindset, if you're thinking about, it's about my film, they work for me, blah, blah, it would have failed right from the first day.
And then lastly, you talked about doing post and paying for different things. You had that team in place? Yeah. Okay, great.
That's infrastructure building. So people think like, what's this wedding videographer doing on the set? Like, it was like almost sounds embarrassing, right? But it turns out that if I didn't have that in place, we wouldn't have a finished film, because I have my employees, I was paying them, and health insurance I have an infrastructure. And the idea, my mindset since 2009 was to build a team that could support the opportunities. The opportunity arose, and I was able to support it. That's not an accident. I just knew that was the leverage. And I knew that was how I could get in. So because I know tons of people in the film industry, and they work from PA to assistant director, blah, 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 and never get those directing opportunities, or even producing opportunities. And they said, and I get these calls still today, they say, Khoa, how the heck are you doing these films? Why are you getting these opportunities? We've been in this industry, we can't even get these opportunities to do anything. We can't even get a budget to do that. How are you doing that? It's like kind of like you have to. I said, well, it's hard. How do I explain that? Right? I'm explaining it to you that it started from this ground up, but they don't understand that because they're not business people. So for me, it was a mix of business and creativity.
It sounds like you always look at the big picture of everything you take on first.
Always. I look at it as I look at utopia. I look at building utopia. I look at what is the perfect world before I'm dead. What do I want to see? I want to wake up one day and I want to know that I want to be the parent that says, you might not think about being a doctor. You might want to be a writer because I think it'd be a better career for you. I want that to happen. I mean, that's almost like no parent's ever gonna say that to their kid. But I do hope that one day that you say, you know what, maybe you should be a singer or a bass player because you're gonna be so much better off being in that career than being an architect or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to decide that. And so I look at that picture and I do see it happening. Some people can't see that part happening. I do see it happening. And I have this 25, 30-year strategy that's going to get us there as an industry as a whole. At least I started it or something.
So strategies, but then the mini tasks that it takes to implement.
It's like 100,000 micro tasks to finish one task. That's what it feels like. One thing at a time. Yeah.